And hello there. Welcome to Thursday Night Blather. Once again, I've tied the world's record because nobody's watching. I love nobody. Nobody tells me what to do. Um, I got a little spoiled last week. Nobody's watching, so it doesn't even matter what I say right now because I've learned what I learned last week was the power of editing. I edited down the Tulsi Revelations video about Russiagate Gate. Russiagate Gate needs a second gate because Russiagate is a scandal in and of itself, not because of what they say happened, but because of what they made up. It's utter nonsense. I'm going to follow up on that tonight. I'm going to talk about a certain senator from Massachusetts wanting to stick her nose into the New York City mayor race, and I also want to talk about something very. I'm going to start with this. I'm very, very disappointed in this one. This does not bring me any joy whatsoever. It really, really doesn't. And again, like I said, I've learned learning how to edit, and the video I did last week, the 18-minute edited down video of Russiagate got like 30,000 views on Twitter. I'm serious. It's wild. Here, I'll share my screen and show it to you. 33,000 views, 165 likes, which is not a lot of likes per view. What are you going to do? 48 retweets. I love that. 14 people bookmarked it. 13 comments. Not all the comments were positive, but that's to be expected. Actually, I kind of know I've arrived because haters, well, what person with any kind of impact doesn't have haters? So I got my own. I got one particular troll. I've grown really fond of this troll. No matter what I say, no matter what I do, I will always have one and exactly one dislike. So I got to figure it's the same person over and over again. And I also am fairly certain it's one of my old friends from the 510 area code, and that's fine. Again, I invite anybody from the 510 from any area code actually, but especially from 510 or 707, who's come to their senses about the reality of what they've been what they've been championing. Quick nose update. Here we are. It's healing. It's getting there. A couple of bumps and stuff that's kind of white. And then I got, oops. I keep missing because this is not a mirror image I'm looking at. I'm looking at like what you're seeing. So I get my left and right messed up. Anyway, I got stitches there because that was a second most procedure. I'm getting a third one over here. And I ignored this thing for so long. Well, it might have been better if I ignored it. I picked it for like years, and it turned out to be this. So I'm the other way now. I'm completely the other way. I feel any kind of bump in my head, I think it's cancer. So I need to find a happy medium because I'm driving myself and everybody around me crazy. So anyway, let's get down to it. I said I wanted to open with the Assange stuff. So there's Julian Assange. There he is, and I was very active in the Free Assange movement. I wrote a song called Belmarsh Prison Blues. I went to rallies. I was at his 50th birthday rally in Echo Park. Played the song there. I really, really was hoping he'd be released. The song was written in the last few weeks of the first Trump administration. So there's a line at the end, "Come on, Donald, do the right thing, sign the pardon." But of course, that didn't happen. He was released more recently. But most recently, there he is, free as a bird, which is great. However, where he was at a march for unicorns. I guess they were calling it a march for the Gaza genocide, which exists as much as unicorns do, but I won't even elaborate on that right now. What's really disappointing is look at the picture being carried right next to him. I mean, say what you want about Gaza, but I mean, the Ayatollah, really, Julian? This is why we worked so hard. You know what? It's fine. You're free. You're free. Be well. Be free. Just stay the hell away from me. Hey, you know what? That would be a chant. 2, 3, 4. Be well. Be free. But stay the hell away from me. Be well. Be free. But stay the hell away from me. See, I could be a neoliberal marcher if I want to be. I'm very, very disappointed in Julian Assange. I really am. He didn't belong in prison. You know, he was locked up for practicing honest journalism. I don't regret doing the minuscule microscopic part that I did to boost the Free Assange movement. I don't regret it because it was the right thing to do at the time. But I am so disappointed that he's marching, you know, in Australia for a what I believe to be an extremely unworthy cause. You know, the thing of it is, it's not a big stretch to go from progressive to woke to anti-Semite. It's happening all around us all the time right now. And I actually have something to share because this woman says it really, really eloquently. And here she is.
Qatar weaponizes woke language. It has mastered the art of rebranding Hamas jihadi agendas into a progressive struggle. Words like decolonization, indigenous resistance, river to the sea, genocide are sold as justice movements. Rape is resistance has become something that we don't even realize the level of insanity such a statement is. When in reality, all that they mean when they're saying this is let's erase Israel. Let's erase the Western values by using their values against them. Let's find the thing that the American people hold dear, freedom and freedom of religion, and use it against them to break apart their society, because that's what they do really well. They know that to conquer a society, you have to let the society do the work of destroying itself from within. It's what they do in the world, and it's what they're doing here in Israel. The Palestinian issue is something that allows Qatar to keep on building out their dreams of Islamization whilst nobody's noticing, whilst they're signing massive financial deals with the world because they know something, that the West values freedom and that can be used against them, but they really value money. And Qatar, my friends, has a lot of money. So why did this latest video backfire when there is so much work being put in to making this happen, to making Israel fall apart from within? The Russiagategate video was meant to push Israelis to demand a ceasefire at all costs, but instead it did two main things. Number one, it actually exposed Hamas's cruelty. Even the global media could spin the footage of a starving man as Israel's fault. Look, did they push it and promote it as much as they promoted the aid lies? Absolutely not. But leaders saw and took note, and they have called for Hamas to withdraw at all costs. And these countries are putting pressure on Hamas, but they are yet to learn, like they will learn with this whole idea of a Palestinian state that they're trying to recognize, that Hamas aren't interested in giving hostages back. They're not interested in peace. They're interested in one thing: the obliteration and the ending of Israel.
You nice people who virtue signal and care about humanity and think somehow that translates to having sympathy for the bad guys. Let me share with you what you're supporting when you do that, because Islamism is extremely ugly.
شوف هذا من قصفكم يا كلاب يا خنزير. خطات الناس هذه برقبتك يا ابن الحرام. خطات الناس هذه برقبتك. وش ذنب هذول؟
Okay, so obviously that's in a language we don't understand. What's happening here is Islamists, the people that you people who are screaming about Gaza are supporting, went into Druze territory in Syria, killed the husbands, kidnapped the wives and the children, and they're driving off with them. This is unspeakably horrible, unspeakably horrible. This is the level we're dealing with. And what the video the woman was referring to, and the other thing, the starving hostage tape. Yeah, the starvation in Gaza. They're starving the hostages. They're starving the hostages. Of a couple of really, really horrible images have come out behind that, and I just hope that it's you know. I'll agree on one thing. It's time to finish this. It is time. I know this needs to be over. I will agree this needs to be over. But if I had a loved one, if I had a wife, a daughter, a mother, a brother that was being held in those tunnels, yeah, I can't say that my position wouldn't be different. So I do get it. I do. But I just hope somehow this thing is brought to an end. Elizabeth Warren, new topic, in case you hadn't noticed. Elizabeth Warren has decided that she wants to be involved in New York City mayoral politics. Shake up that blue cheese dressing, because here comes some tasty word salad.
Is affordability. Do you know how many working families are chased out of New York City every day because they can't afford housing, they can't afford groceries, they can't afford childcare? What Zoran is saying is, I want people to be able to afford to live in New York City. That's what keeps it a vibrant city. That's what makes people want to live
Nobody
here.
disagrees with that, Senator, but raising taxes in order to do it?
Oh,
why is that
goodness.
the answer?
Oh, dear. Are you worried that billionaires are going to go hungry?
No, I'm worried that they're going to leave and spend their money elsewhere.
You know, they've threatened to do that over and over and over.
And they have. They've left.
But here's the thing.
And Goldman Sachs, when they create new jobs, they do it in Dallas. And Blackstone won't build a new headquarters. They go on and on.
You want to have a workable city? You want to have a city that's vibrant. You want to have a city where the streets are full, where there are things for sale 24 hours a day. Then you need people who can live here and work
Well, we've
here.
got that right now,
Not
by the
people
way.
who
I
have
would
to
point
take
out
an
New
hour
York
and a
is
half
New York
in.
is thriving. So right
Well,
now it's doing pretty well, actually.
I'm glad you think they're doing well, because a lot of people are struggling to pay for housing. A lot of people are struggling to pay for groceries. And I got to tell you, mamas and daddies who are facing $25,000 a year to pay for childcare.
Those are national issues. I mean, I know they are the local state, but you can't.
New York City.
Yes, but if you deal with them in that way, by what is always your backup, just tax them more, they will leave.
No.
Okay, I will give her credit for going on what appeared to be a hostile interview, but the whole thing is, and you lucky people in the Blatherverse, all 7 of you watching, we found out in the Blatherverse what her real motivation for endorsing the Mad Manny, whatever his name is, and here it is. If elected, Zohan will trade me Manhattan Island for $24 worth of trinkets. All right, well, at least that makes sense. Because why in the world would a Massachusetts senator get involved in a local New York City election? All right, well, I guess the main story is following up on the whole Tulsi Gabbard revelations, Russiagate, and I have a few things to share on that. This has been a bad period of time for people that I used to. I'm not going to say heroes necessarily, but people I used to respect intensely. I guess I considered Obama to be a hero. I mean, like I say it all the time. I cried tears of joy on that couch the night that he was elected. And I said, we took it back. I was so excited about it. Julian Assange, I wrote that song that the only people who will ever hear it from now on are the ones who just watched it live, or the ones who see the unedited version of this. And I apologize to the people who are watching live for the choppiness of this, and the people who watch the unedited version later, which I know there's a few who do that. I am going, maybe I'm a little too full of myself in my editing power, but I'm not paying too much attention now to keeping things smooth, because I know I could edit out all the potatoes and just keep the meat later. Anyway, let's get into it regarding Obama. So we established last week, and again, there's an 18-minute video that I put out there last week. I'll put a link in the description when I get to YouTube after I'm done. And Tulsi lays out the case that Obama knew that there was that the intelligence agencies came to the conclusion that there was no collusion, conclusion and collusion. That's the beginning of a song. No collusion between Russia and Trump. Obama knew it. He knew it, he knew it way before the December 9th meeting that they had, where they rejected the actual intelligence and adopted new intelligence that they made up on their own. Anyway, let's hear about it from someone who's far more eloquent and articulate than the blathering boomer. And that'll be Obama himself at some point.
Clinton was the hand orchestrating all these big reveals about, oh, my emails or the DNC emails were hacked by Russia. Oh, Donald Trump had prostitutes peeing in front of him at a hotel room in Russia. Okay, so she did it, and she did it to distract from her own email. And Obama knew. His intel community went to him and told him, we just found out from the Dutch who are spying on the Russians that the Russians have unearthed a Hillary Clinton plan to do this whole thing, to say Trump is a Russian agent and that she's going to do it to distract from her email scandal. Obama knew. He knew, as far as I can tell, it was either September or August of 2016. He knew. Here he is in December 2016, after she's lost the election, in an interview making the rounds online, one of those things that's resurfaced, talking about these issues. Listen.
Did the Russian hack of the Democratic National Committee and other targets actually affect the results of the election in your view?
Elections can always turn out differently. You never know which factors are going to make a difference. But I have no doubt that it had some impact. Everyone now acting surprised by the CIA assessment that this was done purposely to improve Trump's chances.
Liar! Liar! Liar!
And my only point was that shouldn't be treated as a blockbuster because that was the worst kept secret in this town. Everybody understood that. It was reported on. It's a pretty clear inference that people would draw and did draw, that this was helping the Trump campaign and it was hurting the Hillary campaign. My only point was we shouldn't now suddenly act as if this is a huge revelation. Every intelligence agency in the federal government arrived at a consensus that the Russians had hacked the DNC, and the information that was now being released was as a consequence of a decision by Russian intelligence and Russian officials at the highest levels. So what the CIA is now assessing, which was it was done purposefully to tilt the election in the direction of a particular candidate, shouldn't be a surprise to anybody, and in fact isn't a surprise to anybody.
Everything that guy just said is bullshit. Thank you.
I think that Megan and Michael agree with what Joe Pesci just said. Do they?
Okay. Those are all lies. Everything he said was a lie. They knew, the intelligence community knew that the Russians had not hacked the DNC, and he'd been briefed. And they knew that there was no goal by the Russians to help Trump at all. That had been, at best, a low confidence assessment by somebody within the intelligence community, which only got elevated to an actual action point in an intelligence assessment thanks to President Obama. He demanded it. And now he's out there acting like, oh, well, everybody's known this. They knew that the Russians hacked the DNC, and they knew they wanted to help Trump. Everyone knew that. They knew that it was reported on. Why was it reported on? Because you had your intelligence people leak to Ellen whatever her name is, at the Washington Post, and others at the New York Times. You sprinkled false information to these stenographers in the press who then did your bidding, so you could wind up on NPR in December acting like this has been out there, everybody knows it. Meanwhile, the truth is, as we've seen in these Tulsi documents, He knew everything he said there, Michael, was not true.
Everyone knew it because he wrote the story. So I guess that would be one true statement. Everyone knew it because he's the one who concocted the lie that everyone then came to believe.
Kamashwari-Kate, an OG member of the Blatherverse. She was watching me live the first time I went live, and I've always appreciated her loyalty, even when she doesn't agree with me, which does happen. But we agree on this: it wasn't the Russians, it was WikiLeaks. Yes, it wasn't the Russians, it was WikiLeaks, which is one of the reasons that I was so active in the Free Assange movement, because I think part of I think. They were saying it was the Russians, but they knew it was WikiLeaks, and that's probably part of why they worked so hard to lock Julian Assange up. So again, very disappointed in where he is now. Very, very disappointed. The hack of the Podesta emails, which really blew the lid off the corruption of the DNC. Yes, it was WikiLeaks, or to WikiLeaks. There's an interview with Julian Assange. I don't have the link, but if you watch the conversation, they ask about what, he talks about how, because Sethridge was murdered in Washington, D.C., tragically, 27 years old, has his whole life in front of him, shot in the back in what the police called a robbery gone bad, but his wallet wasn't taken. But if you watch, so Assange talks about how risky it was back then for his sources, that they could be in danger. And he refers to a person who just got shot in the back in Washington, D.C. And the interviewer asks Assange, is that the, I'm not sure if it was with Amy Goodman, it might have been, but whoever the interviewer was, he or she asks Assange, is that the person that you're talking about that gave you the information on the Podesta emails? And Assange does this. Like, the most subtle little nod of the head, but it's definitely there. It's definitely there. I'll have to do some research into it. God, I remember the first time I watched the Convo Couch, they played that way back in the day, back when I was hanging out with those particular pre-October 7th, the people I was hanging out with. Anyway, yeah, well, and maybe it was the interview with Amy Goodman. I'll have to look that up. Thank you, Kate, for your participation, and that's really all I got this week. I'm really looking forward to editing down the whole Obama liar Joe Pesci thing, and Kate's right. Assange always would say we never reveal our sources. We never reveal our sources. So he didn't reveal it then, but that subtle little nod that he did, it's like, it's no more than this. Literally. I mean, that's about accurate. Like, tells me that's what it was. He never ever articulated it to this day. I'm glad he's out. I am glad he's out. Whatever direction he's going in now, which I don't like, he didn't belong in prison. So there's that. Anyway, this was a short one tonight. I've run out of stuff to say. So I'm going to thank everybody for watching. I'm going to thank Kate for her comments. And at this point, on August 7th, 2025. Oh, by the way, starting September, I'm moving to Tuesday nights. I'm going to do Thursday nights for the rest of August. I will be on again next Thursday. Hopefully there'll be much more to talk about. There always is. Whenever Monday rolls around, I have no idea what I'm going to say. And then it just takes a couple of days to gather bookmarks and tweets and all that. Okay, well, anyway, I'll just end the way I always end and say to my dear Blatherverse, the boomer has blathered. Thank you so much for watching.